they're not undocumented. Maybe there are a few. I can't speak for everybody. And if I could quickly talk to the African-American community, which is almost like 50%, and this thing that's becoming in the media, there's a small percentage, like of every, I'm Italian-American, I mean, the mafia was there, it wasn't all of us, you know, it was a percentage. Right now, there's a small percentage. I mean, we have a community, an African-American community in Port Richmond that is phenomenal. A lot of the original ancestors from the oyster fishing and stuff like that came here because they could afford their houses here in the 80s, and they're there. Yes, there's a percentage, but a lot of time when they're locked up, they're coming from a lot further away than Port Richmond. So it's, you know, so if that can be addressed, the biggest thing right now is to try to get back to your question, is try to work to get these kids back together in some way, the young kids. The problems are because they have no place to play, and I'm not a liberal, I just whatever, but the problem is they have no place to play, they have nothing else to do, there's time out at night, I get up early in the morning, which is still the night, I see people loitering that have nothing else to do. If they were given something in our parks, so I don't know, maybe help them, got to talk to the politicians and get a little more money, a little more land, you know, instead of opening up dumpster places with waterfront property. I mean, they spent $900,000. This piece of property sold for at the end of Port Richmond Avenue. There would have been a beautiful continuation of parks. They couldn't come up with the money. They got $10 million because a couple of politicians on the other side of the island didn't like they were going to build townhouses. So they got $10 million. They bought this little park that's sitting there as a backyard. So just to help diversify, I think we need a voice is what we need. We need an organized voice to say, hey, we're here, and you know, don't dump on us no more. And if you are going to dump on us, give us something in return that we can, you know, that we can. So I don't know. Does it make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Steve was saying, and that's a reality. The resources, especially for young people in the area, are scarce, and that touches all young people, not only African Americans or Mexican, everybody. So I think there, as he says, there is an opportunity right now, especially that all the spotlight is there to really advocate so those resources are brought to the community. We started doing 2 activities that we hope can flourish into being replicated more. One is the midnight basketball. We got in touch with the CYO, and on Friday nights from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. We actually have the center open for everybody, especially young people in the community who are not doing anything, to come in and play basketball in a safe space. And we also, with as what you were saying, the wonderful African American community that we have, Reverend Tony Baker, we started to do, you know, with the clergy, break bread dinners. We basically got an 2 African American families and 2 Mexican families sitting at the table, share dinner, and get to know each other. A lot of the tensions that we, you know, sometimes hear about come because these communities are separated, and because we don't have places, the safe spaces for them to share. We have a language barrier, and we have a cultural barrier, and you know, people are not going to put themselves out of their comfort zones by themselves. If we don't provide those safe spaces for them to come together, it's never going to happen. So again, I hope that we have more of those activities replicated in the area. We have a wonderful diversity. We just the first halal pizza opened on Bennett Street. So we have the Arab community in the area as well. So I think we can just see more of that happening.
Probably have time for 2 or 3 more questions.
Most of our students are going for Richmond to serve in the community. What is some of the advice that you have for us in terms of how to be prepared to go and share, because it's, you know, we're not going to save anybody. We're going to share experiences with people from Port Richmond. So I think it's important for you guys to tell us, you know, how to be better prepared to go to Port Richmond.
Okay, thank you, Professor Sanchez. Okay, the question of course, as students, we're going to work with the community. We're not going to save the community. What are some strategies for making clear that we want to maybe learn from the community as much as help the community?
First of all, and not to be wise, you're not in Kansas. You ever hear not in Kansas, Toto? It's a place, you know, let's face it, call a spade a spade. Don't wear your earphones while you're walking and listening to the radio. I know it's not directly, but yes, if you're going to be there to help, you should also take you know, I tell my children that, you know, my son, you know, got his backpack taken. That the facility that happened is no longer in Port Richmond. Basically, you're in a community. Right now, we have a strong police presence. That like any community in New York, you have to, you know, be aware. You know, you stay, you know, with someone. My children right now, I believe my daughter is 17, my son is 19, and they can go and survive in any place in the country or the world because of what they've experienced in Port Richmond. And all it is be aware. My son had one problem, he hasn't had another one because he doesn't put himself in situations, and if he sees a situation that doesn't look right, it's not right. And then you just change corners, go near somebody who might be there to be there to help. Does your question go further than just security? Because, well, it wasn't security, I turned it into that, but I am concerned. I'm concerned that when you guys do come to Port Richmond, you know, you're aware. Right? We have a church across the street that brings people from Kansas and all these different places, and they walk around like they think that, wait a second, you guys got to stay as a group, you know, these certain hours and this and that. And once they get that little speech, they go on. They leave a lot of good when they leave, you know, because we need a lot of help, so, as New York does in general. But you want to ask me? Did I say it?
You know, that's an excellent note. You know, because you're anywhere in New York. I mean, even if you go to Manhattan, though, obviously that you have to have certain precautions. You know, you're not going to be walking around, you know, showing your money or anything at midnight. But also, I think that you have to have an open mind, and I think you know, sometimes we take a lot of things for granted. I think when you come to Port Richmond, don't take anything for granted. And you know, especially with the different type of communities that you're going to work with, I think I will say that you're going to get more of what you're going to give, and just keep your ears and your mind open to that, because basically this is history in the making, and it is still the, you know, very much the experience of the melting pot and people coming together across so many barriers, and I think, you know, being exposed to that is really going to give you a different perspective of humanity in general, and how we as humans interact with each other, if I can put it in a social way. Where is the sociology? I'm not, but basically that's the way I see it. I come from a very homogeneous country. I come from Chile. We always say we're all the way at the bottom of the world. Nobody goes there. So basically, you know, there's just Chileans living there. And I always kind of long to be in a place where I can be in touch with people from so many different cultures and countries and different traditions. So I think that now that you have that, and you have that here, I think you can take that opportunity not just to give, obviously, to the community with all the things that you have, your talents that you can share, but also be open to what you can get from people. Obviously, you're not going to get anything material, but you can get a lot of experiences that really can open your mind and help shape your own future.
Okay, with that, I'd like to call Professor Esser, who initiated the panel, to the microphone to say some closing words.
I just have a couple of things to say. First, you know, you have an opportunity in our society. You're given an opportunity to educate yourself. You don't have to earn a living. You have time to devote to your studies, and one of your opportunities here is to learn about this community if you have a project there. So take advantage of that and recognize that by the end of this semester, you will know more about Port Richmond than not only most people in New York, but even most people on Staten Island. So this is a great opportunity to take advantage of it. And let's give a big hand of applause to this panel who's really